Yes, we finally have more in-hand images of the study series Dark of the Moon Q, one of the most expected figures of the study series line in 2025. Another figures that have looked better and better as the more images of it get reviewed, all the way from the box art to promotional and official listing images, and most recently to the new in-hand images, including important side comparison photos with study series figures. Now let's dive into more details for our figures. Here is our very first promotional photos of the study series Dark of the Moon Q. An image that definitely did not do this figure justice in comparison to the new promotional image. From the new promotional images, we can see that the new study series Dark of the Moon Q ideally captured the CGI model from the Dark of the Moon movie and significantly resembled the deluxe class Q from the Dark of the Moon toy line. And here is how these two figures look in person, standing right next to one another. They represent the 14 years difference in terms of design and engineering. Firstly, we can see that again the new deluxe class figures are generally smaller than those of the Dark of the Moon toy line, which stays true even in their vehicle mode. In terms of movie accurate details, the new study series figures definitely win hand down, especially opposed to the scary face and arm of the old Dark of the Moon version. Despite the vastly different in terms of details in the robot mode, the two figures both did very well in terms of vehicle modes, that the figures ended up being very similar even after a decade apart. Despite being very far from perfect, but we have to give credit to the old deluxe class mode that is look very accurate to CGI models too. But there's no denying that the new study series version is slick above in comparison to the old deluxe class in terms of movie accuracy and details. Still, the backpack and the keyboard seem to be the main concern that we have with this overall deluxe class figure, considering that we can clearly see most of the vehicle part panels are lies on the back of the figures. And with the new in-hand images, we can confirm that the panel definitely line up all the way, not just forming a backpack but also at the back of the calf and legs of the figures. Although there's a lot going on here, the backpack appears to be very streamlined and they attach very closely to that of the body, and they fit the design of the character very well. And of course, the Wheeljack definitely comes with some weapons, which can both be attached to the back of the figures and look very natural from the back and from the front side of the figures. The weapons of course can be held via the two hands of the figures. And surprisingly, we even have a leaked look about the transformation of the figure, which suggests that the back panel of the figures have to be flipped first to start the transformation back to vehicle mode. We can see that the whole back wing will be flipped upward, covering the head of the figures. Then part of the wing will flip back into the body. The two arms will cover up the legs, and the legs will almost stay in the same position. After a few further adjustments, the final vehicle mode can be formed, which appears to be a very well done and accurate vehicle mode, especially considering how humanoid the robot mode looks. The vehicle mode appears to capture the design that we saw in the Dark of the Moon movie perfectly, with black tint windshield and window, along with silver wheel rims, headlights and taillights. In this case, it definitely thinks that the black tinted windshields are definitely better than the transparent windshield. In overall, this seems to be a very worthy pickup for most of us fans who has been waiting desperately for a new Dark of the Moon Wheeljack figures. And here is the side comparison between this new study series Dark of the Moon Wheeljack figures with the 2011 deluxe class Dark of the Moon Wheeljack figure. The old deluxe class figure is surprisingly taller and bigger in overall in comparison to the new one, and the same thing could be said for their vehicle mode. And here is the direct comparison between the new study series Dark of the Moon Wheeljack with the Ride the Beast Wheeljack and the Bumblebee movie Wheeljack. Three very different designs that are supposed to represent the same characters. And here's how this new Wheeljack standing next to the study series leader class Dark of the Moon Optimus Prime. Next we have how this study series Wheeljack standing next to the study series Ironhide. Then we have the two study series Dark of the Moon figures, Wheeljack standing next to Dino. And here's how study series Wheeljack standing next to most of the study series Dark of the Moon figures. Most of them scale really nicely together, especially between the deluxe class figures, even in their vehicle mode. And here's how we have the new study series Wheeljack in his vehicle mode scaling with study series Dark of the Moon Optimus Prime and study series Ironhide in their vehicle mode.